So it's Sunday, first Sunday of September. I'm in my car driving. Decided to drive cross country for the month. So I'll probably release these after the fact, if at all. I do have my professional camera and microphone here, but I just don't want to give out my location as I travel across the country. I think I'm currently in Pennsylvania. Heading to Maryland. I'm going to go to Sugarloaf Mountain. Did some hiking yesterday. Did 2 mountains yesterday. One in New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, divided by a river. I don't remember the names. Pocono maybe, and Montauk, if I had to guess. Fun. Slept in my car. Showered at Love's. On the road now. Just decompressing, living life, man. I was listening to a podcast with Liberty Lockdown, Clint Russell, and Dave Smith. And whereas I do appreciate those guys, and I don't want to talk negative about that. I'm just listening to this, and I've been very familiar with Dave for a long time. I'm actually driving cross country to Vegas to go to Skankfest right now, and I found Gas Digital in that comedy community, which I love, through Dave Smith. I actually think I first saw him on Stefan Molyneux way back in the day. Probably, I think I started listening to Stefan, if I had to guess, 2006. But anyways, it's really interesting. I find politics boring. But they are talking about Oliver Anthony's song and how it resonated with so many people throughout the United States. And Clint, who I really enjoy him on Tower Gang. I haven't really watched Liberty Lockdown. I just don't like politics. They're boring. Prefer philosophy. It's like, politics is just the same story over and over again. From the side of the villain. You know? But he was right. And so obviously what they're talking about, most of it is correct from a philosophical point of view. I just don't think the answer, I mean, just from a pure philosophical point of view, if government is not the answer and you cannot fix society via the use of coercion, then when the Libertarian Party gets less than 1%, you're actually proving your philosophical hypothesis. Your thesis is being proven correct. Whereas if, Ron Paul, Dave Smith, Clint Russell, any one of these anarcho-capitalistic individuals became president, started changing things for the better, like, when Milton Friedman went to Chile, then you're implementing these things that make society better, but that's not the point. The point has to be, in the long run, that it's an internalization throughout the individuals. Meaning, Dave not running and focusing on his family. I wish that his kids weren't in school. The fact that they're not homeschooling really bothers me, but same with Luis Gomez. I wish that he was homeschooling. I think James would learn so much more from home with his father and his mother, and from Dave and Lauren and the community that they could create in New Jersey than they do in the public or even private schools. But I'm going to take a little put a pin in this, because I'll take a little side note, because this took me a long time to understand. So I'm in crypto, DeFi crypto, and when I first started cryptocurrency, it's just numbers and codes and encryptions and blockchain, which my mind understands. I was in real estate, so digital real estate made a lot of sense to me. The blockchain, owning a piece of the of the chain that's getting recorded in the blocks on the ledgers of the stored value that was decentralized, meaning it was community checked and held and agreed upon by the community, but that was value. That all made a lot of sense to me. I began investing in cryptocurrency, and I would deep dive into these projects, look throughout the project, understand the developers, the project, how it made sense, the money flows, and everything that was there, read the white papers, and I would invest in a project. And the project would fail. And I would look back and I would be like, man, this was bulletproof. This is a good plan. A, B, C, D. This needs this. This needs that. And then I would see another project with a lot of holes in it. Some issues, white paper problems, built down, missing pieces of their technical roadmap for expansion. And then that one would succeed. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. It was really confusing to me. Not that I'm a completely black and white person. I understand the nuance of business, and things succeed and things fail. And at first I didn't quite understand NFTs, and this will make sense in a minute, so bear with me. But as I started exploring deeper, because I'm like, I gotta figure this out. I want to make money in crypto, but more than that, I want to support crypto. I want to put the value that I've created in the world into crypto, because it supports the project long term for the future. So when I pass, and no one remembers me, and dust is dust, that I paid into a project that's, I believe, going to create freedom and liberty in the future. And it already does today. People that can't get a hold of banks in third world countries can use decentralized financing to store value that they've created long term without worry of theft, destruction, taxation, or warlords coming there. They can get value from other people in other lands without moving, so they can stay where their family and their bloodline is, where their blood is mixed with the soil, and get some decentralized finance, not government aid that has got reverse incentives. I'm not going to go into that, but positive incentives and actual employment. So there's a crypto site called Lunar Crush, and this is really what I was missing for a long part of my life. Maybe you could call it the matriarchal structure of an individual, that I was not in touch with my femininity. Man, there's just a gorgeous view of the mountains that I'm heading towards now. I think I'm in southern Pennsylvania, heading towards Sugarloaf Mountain, Maryland. I just got a nice view here. So in Lunar Crush, it tracks the social media and the social excitement of coins and the emotional attachment to something or even an individual. So you ever meet assholes? And there's two types of assholes. There's the asshole that when they're gone, everybody talks about it. It's like, that guy's a fucking jerk. I feel like shit. You feel like shit. He made us all feel like. Then there's assholes that come in, and whenever he leaves, they're like, wow, man, that was a fun and positive experience. People remember the emotions and the experience attached to the situation. The Lunar Crush shows the communal, social, emotional attachment to these projects. So when I was doing my research and things were black and white and they would fail, and then these shades of gray companies would succeed, what I was missing was people weren't getting emotionally attached to the black and white companies that had everything worked out, including a roadmap. It was just too dry for them. And criers are buyers, they say. So if you can get somebody emotionally attached to something, they'll never let it go. They got to attach and become loyal and love that project on top of it being a successful project. Part of it, is just like catchy advertising and stuff. I'm on the road right now. If I see a McDonald's, I was like, oh, a bathroom, but dun, 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 I'm loving it. People love that. People are, they're probably physically attached to the chemicals in McDonald's, but they're emotionally attached to the colors and the experience, and they went there in childhood with their family and stuff. So the emotional element, the emotional attachment that gets internalized will take a project further in crypto and DeFi. The NFT aspect of it that I said that I would get back to is those pictures. People are like, oh, I can take a screenshot of a JPEG. Of course, yes. But that JPEG is actually a token that person owns on the blockchain. But if you're not a hyper-logical individual that just thinks in numbers and you think in images and happiness and emotions and feeling, then those photographs help you attach emotionally to a very dry topic such as a blockchain or just a chain in general that's decentralized cryptocurrency tokens. Almost there, people. Stay with me. So now we're going to loop back to the libertarian thing. Dave was talking about how him and his wife sat down and talked quite a bit, and his initial thoughts was, I can't run. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to run. I'm going to do this to get the word out there. And then, they talked about it in Family Comes First. He decided not to, and so many people were really upset and hurt. And some people are like, no, I get it. Family first. But in the end, there's a lot of people that are emotionally attached to Dave as an idea, as a spokesperson for a movement they're emotionally attached to. What I'm concerned about is that they need to internalize those issues, and it may not happen. So it doesn't take, if we look at movements throughout history, more, there's the 3%ers, there's the 1%ers, but the 3%ers were the revolution. 3% of the population create a whole revolution and woke people up. So when you have a Dave Smith, when you have a Clint Russell, when you have an Anthony Oliver, and it emotionally attaches people, that's good because you can move them in that direction. the leaders now that implement stuff into society start to try to bake this stuff into the cake, and then when women start choosing mates based on their emotional attachment to libertarianism and the ideas and stuff, they'll be picking people with the gene sets that can follow that forward, and then they'll have kids with those gene sets. And then not only will it become emotionally internalized, intergenerational, but similar to the fear of spiders, the mate selection will start selecting gene sets that are advantageous to a libertarian society or free society, basically a no middleman society. It's just, when you want something done, you go to the person that does it, instead of when you want something done and you don't negotiate, you go to somebody with power that forces the third party to do it. If they don't even have to force them anymore because it's been internalized, they just take a cut of it. You can't build wealth when there's an involuntary middleman stealing a part of the income. So philosophically now, I want you to just, I would suggest that you can do whatever you want, but if you look at the world as a whole and you understand that most people are rational, if you project yourself onto them, you'll see them as irrational. Now, not everybody works logically, but they work rational. Meaning, if you're in a third world country or second world country that has communism, hardcore socialism, it is rational to be a socialist because you survive, you don't get killed, murdered, and fed to the gods in blood. So the gene sets that have been ingrained in these individuals, and not only emotionally internalized, but physically internalized through the coding of the DNA, meaning people mated with people that did well in those societies, that figured out how to gather resources in those societies and have those skill sets ingrained into their DNA, work forward. So the long game for a society that has no middleman, that's anarcho-capitalist, is one, don't defer your gratification for happiness or the existence of anarchy. Anarchy exists right now. You just have to embrace it and see it. It's fewer people are living it, but they are living it, and you can work with them and you can get involved. And one way you can get involved with that is by, I do it with decentralized cryptocurrencies. I try to buy small. I try to buy in my community. I try to work with farmers in my community. So work with the other individuals in that and start ignoring people outside of that structure to the best of your ability. There's always going to be evil in the world that you'll have to dodge and ignore, and there'll always be a spectrum of evilness. And reward the goodness or the people that you see that are the closest to anarchy that you can get, and punish the ostracization, not giving them your finances, not giving you money, the people that are further away from that. Then work on homeschooling, mating, and creating communities. And it's not a black market or a gray market, it's just the market. You're working with these individuals that then date and marry and have more individuals like that, and make sure that you're marrying and mating with people that have those skill sets that are needed in that market, and then teach and train those skill sets. And then over time, intergenerational, that will get ingrained in and not only emotionally internalized, but physically internalized. So those emotions will become manifested in the DNA selections that get weeded out. Right now we have quite a few DNA things that literally 3, 4, 5, 6 generations of welfare. So when they hear you're going to enter state, they hear, well, my bloodline's done. They know. I think one thing that Clint and Dave missed in that thing is they were talking about a line in the Anthony Oliver thing that said, I know that you know, or like they don't know that you know, but I know you do. And pretty much making it seem like it's all of the society versus the Richmond north of Richmond, but really it's the workers that are productive versus the takers and the middlemen. And if you have 3 or 4 generations of takers, you've not only emotionally checked out that it's wrong. So people that are on 4th generation welfare, that's all they know. They're in that bubble where they just, at this age you get on welfare. Yeah, my grandmother, my mother, my great-grandmother did that. But then the type of men and women that those people are selecting are other people that are fine with that. I'm not going to give my DNA to a woman who's on welfare and her mother was on welfare. It's not going to happen. So the product of my DNA is not going to be in that. But people that think like that don't have a problem fucking somebody that's on welfare, and then it just becomes these pretty much bred voters. They're taking funding and they're breeding voters, and then it becomes locked into their DNA, and then emotionally it's extremely internalized on top of physically woven into their DNA within just a couple of generations. Now there's always going to be outliers, so it's not 100% nurture versus nature, but it's a balance of the two, and there's exploits there, and there's people that want to break out of the system, and sometimes 2 people that are 5 foot tall have a 6'8" kid. So I'm just talking in general terms. Now, I'll end this with the last thing. As an individual, what are you going to do? You're going to do what you can do, which is control yourself. So, one, it's crazy, but you got the Jordan Peterson stuff. It's like, well, you got to clean your room first. Once you clean your room, you clean your household. And hopefully you know what this means. It's not just, the physical manifestation of the room, yes. But it's the mental cleaning of why you're a person that lives in filth, if you live in filth. So you could have a super immaculate, sparkling, clean, polished house and still need to clean your house, because now you have to research, why do you need to control everything around you so much? And that's the mental house cleaning that you have to work on. So once you've branched out and you've done that, and then you've created a business, and you built your business, and your business doesn't have to necessarily be strictly money, but how are you going to add value to your community? So add value. You've cleaned yourself up. You now add value. Now you find somebody to marry and have kids that's doing the same thing, that had done the same thing. You don't want to go down here and slum and think that you're going to date somebody that's got tattoos, blue hair, and overweight and turn them into a narco-capitalist. And the cool kids are back in town, man. If you find the group of individuals that you get along with and you can lean into who you are, so you really start to shine and you're surrounded by these people, you're going to change people around you. They're going to change you. You're going to change them. And then you're going to start attracting the emotional gender, which is the women. And they're going to be excited about that. And they're going to start talking. And they're going to say, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, really? Yes. Oh, I want to date him. Ah, you can't. You got tattoos. He's not going to date you if you got tattoos. He's not going to date you because you got colored hair. He's not going to date you because you don't go to church. He's not going to date you because you have a high body count. He's not going to date you because you're for government programs. He's not going to date you X, Y, Z, Z, Z. He might fuck you, but he's not going to date you and be serious with you. And when that shifts, when you go on Lunar Crush and you see tattoos are falling and clean, wholesome women are on the rise, the whore cryptocurrency is going down on Lunar Crush on the social level, there'll be a switch, and it's already starting to happen now, where reality is starting to come back, the market's starting to readjust. And if you're on the side of liberty and anarchy on a long enough timeline, you cannot lose, because, you know, philosophia, it's just the love of wisdom, the love of truth. If that is your guiding light in the night, it's just a matter of time. It's when you get off track, when you miss the target. From Greek, sin is the missing of the target. When you get back in alignment with all that, that's when it's not futuristic. I'm feeling it right now. I'm living it right now. I'm in the world right now, understanding this. And my life is on an upward trajectory. I'm not a materialistic person. I know some people think that is a cop-out for not being hyper rich or whatever. I like the commodity of time, and so I've been, stacking the commodity of time. And now I got nothing but time for the next 30, 45 days to share stuff like this. Share stuff like this with you, so you can share this with other people. I don't believe in intellectual property, so take this, share it, upload it on your channel, cut it into slices, put it on TikTok. I don't care. I guess that's all I got to say about that for today. I'm about 30 more minutes away from the mountain. I'm just going to go out alone in the woods today for about, I think the elevation's only 1,000 feet, so it'll only be a couple hours, but I'll probably take it slow, carry a notebook with me, jot down some thoughts, get off the intronets, get off my phone, just detach and do some moving meditation where I just have some conversations with my mind, figure some more of this stuff out, and share it with you guys and gals. So, all right, take care.